Now, this whole Twitter saga has been dominating the headlines for quite some time now. Elon Musk announced his intent to buy the company a few months ago, and ever since then things have just been going crazy. You have one side that's been in complete support of Elon Musk, who's been unhappy with the direction of Twitter, and then you have the other side who just simply do not like him, and because of that there's just been negative press coverage after negative press coverage, and it's very difficult to navigate those two sides and find out exactly what is actually happening with the company. Now, a lot of the trouble for Elon Musk, at least when it comes to how he's being covered by the media, started when he decided to fire 3,000 employees. He made it very clear from the beginning that he felt that Twitter was bloated, and thus he decided to lay off almost half of the Twitter staff. Now, originally he said he was going to lay off 75% of Twitter, but as of right now about only half of the company was laid off. Now, the first people that went when he took over Twitter was the CEO and the CFO, and I don't think that that came as too much of a surprise. I don't even think the CEO himself thought that he was going to keep his job after Elon Musk took over the company. In fact, it was the former CEO who decided to sue Elon Musk into taking over the company, so I am sure that expectations wasn't too high on that front. Now, after he got rid of the CEO and the CFO, he also decided to get rid pretty much of every person that had the executive title or vice president title in their job description. He scraped all of those high profile positions as well. Now, on that front, most people did not have too much of a problem with it. There's a lot of people on Twitter who felt like their voices were being silent, and because of that they were very keen for Elon Musk to get rid of a lot of those people who they deemed to be responsible for the censorship or what they considered to be censorship on the platform. So when Elon Musk decided to lay off the entire board of directors, a lot of people did celebrate that and consider it to be a step in the right direction. The 3,000 people that he fired, though, that was a little bit more contentious. Now, after Elon Musk fired 3,000 people, there were a few reports that came out that said that he actually tried to rehire some of the people again. However, it is unclear whether that statement is actually true or not. I've seen nothing that would confirm that he tried to get people back, and as I've said, the coverage on Elon Musk and the whole Twitter situation is very much split down the middle when it comes to some people completely hating him and some people just completely loving him. So it's really hard to navigate what is true or not. Headlines that suggest Elon Musk trying to bring back people is something that's obviously going to grab attention because it kind of paints the picture that Elon Musk doesn't know what he's doing. He's a poor CEO who's just acting on impulse, laying off a bunch of people, and now he's crawling back to them because he doesn't know what he's doing. So again, I don't know whether that report is true or not, but there are claims that suggest that he was trying to get those people back. At least that is what Bloomberg reported. Now, there's also a report that suggests that when Elon Musk was busy firing people, he called in one manager and gave him a list and told him that he had to fire people on the list, and that was so much for the manager that he vomited in a trash can near his feet. Now again, I don't know whether that's true or not. If it is true, I can definitely sympathize with the manager. Laying off people is obviously not something that anybody wants to do, but when you are in that position, it is unfortunately something that comes with the job as well. I'm sure when that person signed up to be a manager, they kind of had to realize that these type of things just comes with the job, unfortunately. No one is truly ever prepared to do something like that, but also when you are in that position, I'm sure most people understand that it is your responsibility to do that. Now, in Elon Musk's defense, or at least what he said in his defense, was that unfortunately the company is operating at a $4 million per day loss, which is massive. I think most people know that Twitter is not a profitable company. It has never been a profitable company. So Elon Musk's back is kind of up against the wall to try and turn it into one. So you can imagine that there is going to be be a lot of cuts, and unfortunately when it comes to these large corporations, when it comes to cost cutting, the first thing that they turn to is labor. Now in this case, Elon Musk is using that $4 million per day loss as a reason why he had no choice but to lay them off. And in this case, I can kind of understand. Obviously you do not want people to be fired, and I always have a problem with these large corporations firing people, especially when it comes to corporations like Amazon and Microsoft. These companies are worth billions, some of them are worth trillions of dollars, but it's not enough for them just to make money. They want to make all of the money, so when their profits goes down from $100 million to $80 million, the first thing that they do is lay off a bunch of people because they continuously need to grow. Even though they can completely continue to hold those people on, even though that there is no reason for them to fire those people, they are still going to make those cost-cutting decisions and lay off a bunch of labor simply because they don't want to go backwards when it comes to profits. They can completely afford to hold those people. A good example of this is Meta. Meta still made $120 billion last year, and even though they made all that money, they still decided to lay off like 11,000 people. And for people who are asking, well, do you just expect them to carry that cost? The answer is going to be yes. Even if they are losing some money, they are still worth billions, if not trillions of dollars. They can absolutely afford to keep those people and still operate the way that they operate without it making any difference when it comes to their bottom line. But because they are so obsessed with profits, they just don't care and they lay off people that really could have stayed on. Now in Elon Musk's case, he's with a company that is losing money every single day. We are not talking about a $1 trillion company or $1 billion company that can afford to eat that cost for the people that got them to the position that they are in. In his case, $4 million a day is a lot, so although you still don't want those people to be fired, and obviously if I had my way I would want those people to stay on, I can understand that him using that defense and saying, look, we are operating at a massive loss every single month, every single year, cuts need to happen, and unfortunately that means that when we are in a company that I deem to be bloated, we are gonna have to get rid of a few people. It is not perfect, it is not ideal, but I can definitely understand the decision, as unfortunate as it might be. Now another big point of contention for people has also been the whole return to work thing. A lot of Twitter employees has been working from home over the last few years, and now Elon Musk has said that those people need to come back to the office, and if they do not want to come back to the office, they can just hand in their resignation. Now I'm also a little bit split on that one. I worked from home for quite a few years, and although in the beginning I felt very good about it, I have to say when we were asked to return back to work after a few years, initially obviously I was upset, but once I got back to the office, I have to say there's just something about being in the office that just cannot be replicated at home. There is definitely a little bit more productivity at work, at least I think for most people, and yes, you're going to find those exceptions, people who have built their lives kind of around being allowed to work from home, and I can understand how that can be a very unfortunate situation for them. But Elon Musk did a very similar thing with Tesla, where he told people to come back to work, so it's something that I think most people kind of expected. Now the firing of 3,000 employees and asking the rest to come back to the office might have been a point of contention for some, but the biggest blunder that most people kind of agreed on is the whole Twitter Blue situation. Now the thought process behind this entire thing is not entirely flawed. I can definitely understand where he's going with it. You don't want to be over reliant on advertisers, especially with some of the advertisers now leaving. A lot of these companies can kind of dictate the direction that you want to go in, but if you are funded by the people, you do have a little bit more leeway when it comes to what you want to do and what direction you want to take the company in. Now unfortunately I do have to say that although some of the things that he wants to do with Twitter Blue seems like a good idea, especially especially this whole thing about the video sharing and where he wants to compete with YouTube by allowing people to upload longer format videos and then also paying those people. I definitely think that there is potential there, but when it comes to the verification thing, that has not been ideal. It started off with Elon Musk saying that if you pay for Twitter Blue, you will be prompted up, and the people who are not verified and are not paying that $8 a month are going to be pushed down. That did not sit well with a lot of people. A lot of people felt like that was a little bit unfair. A lot of people felt like that might have been a bit of a pay-to-win system. But the biggest point of contention when it came to Twitter Blue was the whole verification thing. There was a lot of impersonation going on, and it is obviously just people who was trying to troll, people who were trying to disrupt. It's clear that those are people who are kind of against Elon Musk. Those are people who do not like him, people who want to kind of prove a point. I don't know what point that it is that they want to prove, pretty much just that they are a bunch of idiots who have way too much time. But be that as it may, there was definitely a problem with impersonation. You got people who were impersonating celebrities, people who were impersonating companies, saying horrible things that made them lose a bunch of money, and obviously that was something that could not happen, and that is also why he had to put a hold on this whole Twitter thing. Now initially it felt like he kind of had a workaround for this whole Twitter Blue situation. He rolled out an additional verification tab which was pretty much Twitter Grey, and that was pretty much designated for like politicians and commercial companies and business partners, major news outlets and publishers and some other prominent public figures. But he also killed it hours after he decided to roll out that extra verification, and it is very unclear why he decided to do that. Now in my opinion, I'm not sure why he doesn't just lock the ability to change your username. You have obviously some of the most prominent cases that came out was, I think, H3H3 and Kathy Griffin changing their name to Elon Musk and then tweeting a bunch of things. I don't know why he doesn't just lock that ability. You cannot change it. So make sure that you know what that username is. Make sure that you know what you want that username to be, because once you have settled on a username, you will not have the ability to change it ever. It will stay locked forever and it will just be that way. And if there's two people who share the same name, then unfortunately it cannot be taken. No two people can have the same username. So if you do have people who have a similar name or the same name and surname, you're gonna have to put a 1 or 2 or 3 or point or capital letter there somewhere, because no two people can share the same username, and if you have chosen your username, you cannot change it. I think that is going to fix a lot of the verification troubles, and I'm sure he's probably working on something like that, but I'm not sure why that hasn't been implemented yet. Maybe I'm missing something, but to me that just seems to be a good solution. Now over the last week there has also been a few point of contentions. The biggest one was there was a few engineers that got into online spats with Elon Musk, and then he decided to fire them. Now again, you have very two opposite sides arguing the point. On one side they say that it's a breach of free speech. They say that these people are expressing their right to speak on the platform, and because of that they are paying the ultimate price. And other people on the other side are saying, look, you cannot do that. You cannot bash your boss on Twitter, call it free speech, and then expect there to be no consequences. You still have free speech. You can still say what you want to say. Even after you got fired, you will still be allowed on the platform, but you cannot just completely say horrible things about your boss, try to humiliate your boss, and then expect there to be no consequences. Your right to free speech is still going to exist. You are able to say whatever you want to say before you were fired, and you will be able to say whatever you want to say after you were fired, but you can't just say what you want to say and expect there to be no consequences. Now, a big example where this happened was when Elon Musk was talking about the platform being slow. He said that he apologized previously for it being slow, but then also gave reasons as to why it is, and after that happened, you had an employee responded to him, an engineer, saying that they work on those aspects of Twitter, and they can say that Elon Musk's statement about Twitter being slow was completely false. Now that is a really stupid thing to say and to tweet to your boss. It's clear that you were just trying to get one over on him, and because of that he was obviously fired. Another engineer also responded by saying that Elon Musk doesn't know what he's talking about, and once again, you cannot just say that. He was using a lot more colorful language, by the way, and you cannot just say that to your boss and expect there not to be any type of consequences, and they obviously were, and as a result, those two people were fired, and it's being reported there were about 20 engineers that was fired for speaking out against Elon Musk. And in some ways, I can understand why it's a bad look. I definitely can. I see the argument in that. I can understand you have a person who's pushing back against you, and when they push back, you get fired. But I also think there are ways in which you need to do it, and it says a lot about your professionalism. You already survived massive cuts. There's no reason for you to go on there and say that your boss doesn't know what the hell he's talking about publicly in front of everyone. It speaks a lot to your character. So I can definitely understand why a boss and why Elon Musk would be irritated by that. That's not really how you need to conduct yourself. But again, I would still probably have not fired those people if they were pulling their weight, and the fact that they were surviving the initial cuts means that they were most likely pulling their weight. So I'm not sure whether it's a fireable offense, but it's still a really stupid thing to do nonetheless. Now, it is not just employees that Elon Musk is cutting, he's also cutting lunches. A lot of employees are not happy over the fact that Elon Musk decided to no longer offer free lunches at the headquarters of Twitter in San Francisco. After Elon Musk decided to no longer offer lunches, a bunch of his employees actually accused him of starving them. Now, again, that is absolutely insane, and there were also a bunch of headlines that were saying the same thing, that Elon Musk was now starving his employees after forcing them to come back to work. And it's also because of those type of headlines that it becomes very difficult to navigate through all of the information to decide what's actually happening, what the actual state of Twitter truly is. You have so many people running with these absolutely insane headlines saying just the most ridiculous things that it becomes very, very difficult to figure out what the actual truth is. Now, on Elon Musk's side, he says that most people were not even using the lunches. There were about 10% that was actually utilizing the whole free lunch thing, and he also said that they were paying $400 per person. Now, an employee did push back on that, saying that that was simply not true, that they were running the program up until last week when they decided to quit because they no longer wanted to work for Elon Musk. And they say that over 50% were actually using the free lunches, and also that it was costing about $20 or $25 per person, to which Elon Musk responded by saying that it was completely false, that they spend over $13 million per year on free lunches, and that sometimes only about 10% of the actual staff would utilize those free lunches. Now, those math does seem to add up. If they were in fact spending $13 million and they only have 6,000 employees, most of which are not even in the office, that is a crazy amount to spend on free lunches, and I can understand why you might want to cut that. Now again, if it is a company that is profitable, if it is a company that's worth billions or trillions, I can definitely understand why there might be people upset. You can definitely afford to carry that cost. But in the case of Twitter, most jobs, the overwhelming majority of jobs do not offer free lunches. It is an extreme privilege. So now that it's no longer available, I don't think it's the end of the world. Most people that work in a corporate environment or any environment understands that you need to bring your own lunch. I don't think that that's asking too much. And maybe that's just because I need to bring my own lunch. But I think overall the majority of people will not have too much of a problem with the fact that Twitter is no longer offering that. Now, with all of the craziness that is happening and all of the headlines that has been going nuts, Elon Musk did also unfortunately catch the attention of people that you don't really want in your rearview mirror, and that is the FTC. One senator in the United States actually threatened Elon Musk on Twitter, or not threatened, maybe just warned him by saying that either you get your company in order or we are going to get Congress to do it for you. Now, obviously, Elon Musk was not very happy with that, and he considered that to be a threat. And a lot of people also viewed it that way. In my view, if you are in breach, you are going to get the FTC investigating you. I don't think it was necessarily a threat. I think it was more just that politician warning him to say, hey, listen, we are noticing what you are doing. It might not be in line with the FTC regulations, and if you do not comply, there is going to be consequences, which I think is completely fair. Now, to Elon Musk's credit though, he did say that he is in compliance with the FTC, and he also said that he will continue to comply with all of their rules and regulations going forward. We'll still see what's going to happen going forward. Again, it's a bit of a difficult situation because you do have one side, as I've said, who do not like anything that Elon Musk is doing, and you obviously have the other side who's completely in favor. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out in a Senate hearing or in a Congress hearing when you have two deeply divided sides, one side completely in favor of him and one side completely against him. I think it's going to come down to majority rules. But it's still a scary thing, and if I was Elon Musk, I would just try to avoid that whole situation to the best of my abilities. Now, ultimately, how this entire thing ended, at least up until this point, was Elon Musk saying that although Twitter Blue did not go the way he wanted to and he had to do a few rollbacks, he's planning on re-rolling it out again, and he's going to do that on the 29th. Now, that is in connection with the Twitter Blue verification. He originally decided that there was no need for that, and then he decided to bring it back again, or he is now going to bring the whole Twitter Blue verification back again, and he's also going to make a few changes to it to ensure that the whole problem with people impersonating other people is going to pretty much be a thing of the past. I don't know whether he's going to succeed in doing that, but hopefully he has found a solution to prevent people from doing that going forward. So again, the Twitter Blue verification was put on hold, but it is now going to come back on the 29th of November, and he says that it is going to be completely revamped as well. Ultimately, throughout all of this, the message that Elon Musk have for his employees is very clear. Those people who survived the cuts are now going to be expected to work harder than ever. He said that he expects nothing but the best from each and every person. That means working more hours, working harder during those hours, and any person who is not deemed to be exceptional is simply not going to make the cut going forward. It seems like there's going to be a very strict way of doing things. Previously, there might have been a little bit more of a nonchalant way of doing things. So we're going to see who survives. The good thing at least is there's always somebody waiting in the wings for an opportunity. There's always somebody looking for a job. So I'm sure the people who might not be able to make the cut is going to be able to be replaced. Hopefully the people that's still there is going to be able to do what is required. Obviously, again, I don't want the company to fail. I don't want people to lose their jobs. I want it to be a success. I'm not going to just root for the company to fail and for thousands of people to lose their jobs simply because I might not like Elon Musk or the policies or the politics that he's pushing. That is an absolutely insane thing for me. If you are for labor, if you are for people keeping their jobs, you should not be actively rooting for that company to go under and for people to lose their jobs simply because you don't like the man in charge. So hopefully things will get better. At this point, I don't think things are that bad. Again, it's very, very difficult to say because there's just so many dividing opinions with every outlet just pushing their own political agenda and then spinning the stories based on how they want it to be. But so far, I don't think it is doom and gloom, but we're gonna have to see how things play out in the future.